Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We are happy today to have with us Mr. Hossam Makki to talk about an important topic that's really needed, especially in these days. It's about true leadership. So this session comes to you from HR Leaders Kuwait. We work to connect HR, OD, excellence people together to share their knowledge and ideas and expertise to develop themselves and their organizations and their communities as well. So part of the series that we're having now is about leading through the crisis. So our pleasure today to have with us Mr. Hossam Makki. He's a true leadership catalyst and coach. Mr. Hossam is the founder of hmakkispeaks.com and founding member and head of the Middle East division of Crown Life Trainers International. He's also an author, thought leader, leadership expert, speaker, and life coach. Hossam is the World Civility Ambassador and recognized by I Change Nations with the endorsement of the Golden Rule Standard and the Productive Business. He's Community Game Changer Award recipient. So Hossam, if you'd like to start your video as well with us and introduce yourself if you like, and then we start our meeting, inshallah.
Yeah, my pleasure, Muhammad. Thank you very much for the introduction. Okay, all right, everyone. My name is Hossam Makki, and as the introduction, I'm a leadership catalyst, true leadership catalyst, actually, in coach. My background started about true leadership started back 10 years ago, and I'm passionate about the message that I will be sharing. What am I going to talk about is what I reflect on a daily basis. When I started 10 years ago, it was when I was struggling with how they in organizations they reflect leadership, and that's when it started evolving in my thoughts of how to talk about leadership and how others are talking about leadership. So not long ago, I came up with my slogan, which is bringing true leadership back to the surface, because I believe that the crowdedness that happened within the platforms made it hard for us to understand really what does leadership mean. When we talk about leadership, we hardly get people to participate in any session or training session that has to do with leadership, because they think that leadership is not for them. So from that point of view, I decided that I'll take this challenge. I'll change as much as I can the perspective about leadership, and I call it bringing back true leadership back to the surface. So
that's really great, dear Hossam. And I remember when we were talking about the concept of having this meeting together, and we're looking for the title of our meeting together today. We're thinking about what could be the title, and then you told me about true leadership. Okay, so it came to my mind: is there true leadership and, let me say, not true or false leadership? Okay, what's true leadership, or what's the difference between the true leadership and not true leadership?
You mean what is the difference between true leadership and leadership?
Okay, fine. I need actually to define again. Let's, because many people, again, we read a lot about leadership. Okay, so tell us about your concept of how do you see leadership and how do you see true leadership.
All right. As I mentioned, 10 years ago, I was a member of an organization. They used to have lots of trainings, events, and talk a lot about motivation and leadership, and how you can live a positive life and how you can lift yourself, and so many things that has to do with human potential. The moment we get off our chairs and go out of the room, There's no sync between the action and the words that they were talking about. And this made me search about what does leadership truly mean. And I started reading books. That's when unintentionally I started reading and changing habits and doing lots of stuff. I found myself in the middle of a huge project of digging deep to understand what does leadership mean. And then a book led to another, and another. And I started watching people talking about leadership. But there was something urging inside of me that there's something wrong. I need to discover this thing. So I started studying leadership more and more. And as I told you, I started like 10 years ago, but not long ago, I came up with the slogan that says, bringing true leadership back to the surface, because I discovered that we are talking a lot about techniques, about, wordings, trending, but we are not talking about the moral force of leadership, and that is true leadership. So, true leadership is inspiration, and it focuses more on the character, while leadership became known as influence and became known as a must-have followers and building charisma. Now, if we search about charisma is a wrong term that we were using and we're still using when we refer to someone who must have a charisma to be a leader and so on. If we go back and dig deep on this word, the term charisma, we will find that this word was used by the Greeks to describe the gods. So it has to do with choosing some type of, description to make a beautiful picture. This is charisma. And we're not focusing on revealing our true character, which is the moral force of leadership that I call true leadership. Leadership focuses on influence. True leadership focuses on inspiration. That's the difference between the two. And today we are, I see that social media and public platforms are filled with parrots who are repeating the word real leadership, repeating the techniques and repeating everything that can describe or repeating the description that can make up a charisma, okay? And we forgot about the eagles who are above the sky, above the clouds, having their own identity and leading from the top. So this is the difference between true leaders and leaders. Yep.
That's really great. So if you want to say that, what are the main characteristics of the true leaders, okay, as you are speaking now? So these true leaders have certain characteristics for sure. So how can we identify those true leaders from these non-true leaders?
All right.
So I mean, if I'm in my organization, how can I know that if my manager or my leader, okay, is a true leader or not?
All right, great. Well, actually, here we're talking about how, you see, it's funny because this is how I came to the idea of writing my book, True Leaders. You're saying that how can you identify if this guy is a true leader or not, all right? Just look at the message that he is communicating or she is communicating. Just look at whatever they are bringing to our world. And go back, we will say that this message or this thing that they are bringing to the world, this is the execution. We are all here executing something, right? So we need to know that this person is communicating this type of message, or communicating this type of leadership, or communicating whatever he's communicating. Does he understand what he's talking about? That's number one. Does he reflect enough on what he understands? And did he think about it in the first place? So as you see, I'm going from execution to understanding, to reflecting, to thinking about it. Now, if we are going to talk about thinking, I'm talking about the people who respond to crisis, respond to challenges, respond to circumstances, respond to anything that is going around them. I'm not talking about those who react. Although, if we look at the people who react to whatever is going around them, we will find that there's a huge percentage. We're talking about 96 to 98% of people. Because, you know, Henry Ford said that 2% think, 3% think that they think, and 95% rather die than think. So 90%, 95% of the population, they wish to die than think. Therefore, they are reacting to anything that is going around them. Now we can say why our world is filled with negativity. Because you see, when we talk about negativity, we're talking about a person who's not using his mind. He's not, he doesn't care about the function, the number one function of the mind, which is thinking. All right? And there's a huge misconception about positivity and negativity. They say that there are negative thinking and there are positive thinking. But the truth is, there's only thinking. There are negative thoughts, but there is positive thinking. But your thinking cannot be negative. Otherwise, we will say that the people who react, they are thinking, while actually they're not.
That's really interesting. It seems that whenever we pass through turbulent times or crisis like what we're having right now, it's the time for people to stop from running everywhere and being all over the place and start thinking deep, and the wisdom comes from this. So my question now about the crisis and this stage, it's very hard time for many people or almost all of the world. So why do you think that the true leadership is needed right now? Okay, how can it help in the crisis in this time? Do we really need true leaders in this time, and why?
Very good question. Now, true leadership was and still needed since forever. Since humanity started, we needed true leadership. But because there were people talking the truth, they were hated. Number one, you have Socrates. Socrates, he was arrested and he was killed because he was pushing people to think. The government didn't want their people to think, so they arrested him and they killed him. All right, so true leaders are needed since we were born, but by the time it got covered by all the dust all these years, and it was almost forgotten. That's why we're not talking about the moral force of leadership. Now, why do we need true leadership now? Why do we need to reveal it now? Is because the challenges and the crises are ascending. Now, let me tell you something, if I may say a little thing about myself. I'm a person who came back to life after a death experience. And I am labeled as the reborn because I was a reborn after an accident. This story of mine made me reflect a lot and ask why I was born again. If I tell people how I went through this accident, no one will imagine that I would come back to life. The reason why I'm mentioning this story is because you will see me talking about God a lot. You told me why we need true leadership now. When we see the challenges and the crises that are ascending in our life, talking about the crisis since World War I and earlier than that, we find that these challenges are sent to us by God because this is how God communicates with humanity. He's trying to tell us that make a U-turn and come back to me. That's why we need to reveal our true self. That's why we need to reveal our true leadership. That's why we need to think, we need to reflect, we need to understand before we execute anything. People are executing their messages, they are communicating and sending mixed signals without understanding and reflecting and thinking about what we're talking and what we're doing. So the ascending number of crises, the challenges that we are facing, the obstacles that we're going through, the struggles, all the horrible things that we are witnessing, these are signs for us to make a U-turn and go back and do the right thing. Make a U-turn and think and reflect on what we're trying to communicate to the world. Make an evaluation to what we are bringing. Because when we say leadership, leadership is what we bring to the world. You are the leader and you have your own leadership. Leadership is what you bring to the world. So you have to evaluate your leadership and make it true. That's why we need leadership today, and that's why we needed true leadership since forever, as I told you.
Okay, I think also things should be related to the people that you are working with. Okay, so for me, if I'm working with you, I'm your team member, or I am your colleague, or I'm your boss. Okay.
Yes.
How can this make a difference in people's lives? Okay, so the true leader, how he or she will be differentiated from the normal leader in dealing with other people, and what will be his or her impact on the people they are working with?
Very good question. As I mentioned earlier, that true leadership depends on inspiration, while leadership in general depends on followers and influence. We need to differentiate influencers from leaders. Influencers look for followers. They care about who follows them, and they impose their influence for them to look good and to impress others. While true leadership, they depend on inspiring others. That means we tap into other people's potential to make them realize it and inspire them to become the better for followers, impacting humanity. All right. So this is how true leadership impacts their people. The difference is we inspire them to become. We show them the way. We involve them in anything that we do. We don't tell them that I'm doing this. You like. They used to tell me like, shut up, listen, and do. It's not that way, you know. You have to involve them. You have to show them the way. You have to inspire them and show them that they can do it too. This is the difference between you know, those who look for followers and trying to impress, and those who inspire and express.
That's great. So let me take a challenge here. Okay.
All
Now
right.
you can see all the what's going on, and the business is shrinking, and some business are shutting down or laying off people and so on. So if you are a leader now and you have to lay off some of your people or to reduce the number of your team members, okay, how can you do this as a true leader, okay, or how can you deal with the people in this situation? People are passing very hard times. How can you do this as true leader?
All right. You mean how can you do this transaction of laying out people, or just let me get your question
Not
right so
about
I can give you the right answer.
it's not necessarily about laying off people, but I'm talking about now you are in a condition that the business is shrinking, or your department has to reduce number of employees working in this new organization. Okay, so you are head of department, or you are the big boss, or you are the CEO, and you are true leader. You like your people, you are inspired, you are inspiring them, and so on. But how can you deal with this difficult and challenging situation? Okay, if you are true leader, how can you act differently? What can you do in this situation?
See, empathy is important here. We have to first connect with the people. You know, Napoleon Bonaparte said, leaders are dealers in hope. And in such times, true leaders rise, and you can see players rising and pretenders vanishing. What do we mean by leaders are dealers in hope? It means that these people who trusted you and became a member of your team, they need to hear some sort of affirmation. They need to hear some sort of hope. They want care. You know, they want, you need to connect with them. You need to go and understand where do they stand, how they are feeling, what's going on with them, and slowly take them with you to see the bigger picture so they can work with you, because you never know within whom lies the support that you need as a leader. Now, when we are talking about true leader, I'm not talking about a Superman. No one has everything, no one has all the answers, all right? It is only that you are operating from a certain level of awareness than others. Therefore, when you connect with your people, they might have something that you don't have. They might have an idea. They might be like working from their point of strength that you have it as a weakness. So when in times like this, you all come together, you never know who's going to fill some blanks you have when you are trying to reach a certain destination, because you are the leader at the end, but sometimes you need some help. And you can find this help within your team. Rather than thinking of yourself, like think of it this way, like let's say an airplane is flying up in the air and there was some sort of turbulence. They tell you, first of all, take care of yourself and then take care of others, right? Now, you know the direction, you know where you are going, but you have to take care of others so they can help you in seeing things differently. They can share with you options. They can, from a certain action, they can inspire you about something that you haven't heard about or you haven't thought about, you know? So you need to connect with them. In certain times, you need to connect with them. You need to understand them, because they need to have some sort of affirmation. They need to have some sort of hope that can ignite something in them so they can help you to pass this time, because you want to pass and they want to pass, right?
Yes.
So you need to connect with them and see how can they help you and you help them, and therefore the whole ship will end up in the right direction.
That's really great. I think, as you said, also in the beginning of your discussion today, that about thinking of people, okay, considering people, caring for them. You have to emphasize, to feel empathy for them. Okay, so it's not about taking decision, okay, that you need to reduce your department by 1 or 2 people or whatever, but thinking of this are your family, this is your team members, okay? What can we do together,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Maybe, as you said, maybe you meet with them,
Yes.
discuss with them, look for different options, okay? So we heard about some companies that have reduced the overall packages for all employees in order not to get some people out of this organization. And maybe people were going for vacations. So instead of working the whole month, you work for 70-80% of the month. So if you put people first, put people in your consideration and think about them, care about them, put yourself in their shoes or thinking what they can do, then by that time you are a true leader, okay? You're considering people, caring for them, and so on. Right?
Right.
So the challenge now, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, please.
Okay. You know, what you're talking about, you triggered something in my mind that I was thinking about, and I was, I don't know if I'm ready to share this point, but maybe it's going to be exclusive through you. Leaders, or let's say the trending leaders, they take care of people. All right? They used to say that leaders take care of people. Now, when this crisis happened, we heard that a lot of, like a high percentage of people who call themselves leaders, they laid off people, they cut, money, they did horrible things. Do you know what does true leaders do? They don't care for people. They care for humanity. They put themselves in other people's shoes because they care for humanity. And why do they care for humanity? Is because they put themselves in their shoes and then imagine, if I was working for somebody and I was responsible for a small family and I had a very little amount that I'm earning at the end of the month, and they did the same to me, will I feel good or bad? This is why we say that true leaders care about humanity, is because they think first. By putting themselves in their shoes, they ask themselves questions. If they like it, then they go and they execute. If they don't like it, they will consider helping this person.
Yeah, that's really great. I like this part about caring not only for people but for the whole humanity, and I think this will make the big difference. As you said, I think the crisis we are going through, has clearly identified the difference between the true leaders, okay, and who claim that they are leaders. Okay, I was shocked from many people that were looking like figures for everything, and then at the real time, when it comes to real time, they were not acting, they're not doing what they're saying, so they're not walking the talk.
Yes.
So it was really a very big test, and the test is still going on, especially in these very hard times that we're going through.
Exactly.
Whether you can support people, stand firm behind them, support them, and so on, or just say, I can't do anything, or maybe you are the one who's taking the decision of getting rid of some people. So this really makes a big difference between the true leaders and who claims that they are leaders. I remember one of the stories that we were told about when talking about when about studying change management some time ago. They were talking about a hospital in Seattle, okay, and this hospital, they wanted to reduce their workforce by 30%. So what these people has done, that they thought about what could be the options of these people. So they look for other hospitals in Seattle and asked them whether there are vacancies there. So they are ready with these vacancies to tell their people that there are different vacancies. They go to recruitment agencies and ask them to give consulting or counseling for the people and advise them and help them find other jobs. They said that there are retirement packages for people who like to retire. They go for small projects authority there and ask them about what projects people can work on and give us. So thinking about people and considering them and really make a big difference. And at the end of the day, they make a big celebration, and they called all the big guys there, and they were recognizing people for their efforts, thanking them, and showing them different options. So it's not like, that's it, thank you, or so it's really make a big difference.
Yes, yes, that's how it should be done. Yeah, put humanity first.
Yes. So the challenge now again is about, okay, so I attend with you this this nice session, and I like true leadership. I can go and read through websites. I can get your book. You'll talk to us about your book also that you have published recently. But okay, if I want now to be a true leader, okay, I really like what you're saying, and I want to be a true leader. What shall I do? Where to start, and how can I go?
Perfect. Now, if I may say something, I don't know if you noticed, I don't talk about technicalities. I don't talk about systematic way, because true leadership is human nature, right? So what we need to do first is that we need to understand the methodology of God. That's number one. For us to prepare ourselves to become true leaders, or to, reveal the true leader within, first thing we have to do is we have to understand the methodology of God. When I'm talking about the methodology of God, I'm talking about the way He communicates with us, the way He communicates with me personally, like every person uniquely, how God communicates with me uniquely. We need to understand why we are facing challenges. We need to understand the love of God. So we need to study the methodology of God. That's number one. Number two, we need to understand ourselves, and we need to lead ourselves first. If we are to become a true leader, before thinking about influencing others, before thinking about having followers, before thinking about leading others, we need to lead ourselves first. So we had point number one, understanding methodology of God. Secondly, we need to lead ourselves by studying ourselves and knowing how we can lead ourselves. Number three, we need to put humanity first. Not our people, but humanity. Because when we put humanity first, we will know how to lead our people. But if we put our people, we are putting boundaries. Like whoever is going to join my tribe, he's going to be welcome. Other than that, I don't care. All right, and I'm being frank with you. I'm talking about a global issue. I'm not just talking about small, I'm not talking about individuals. I'm not talking about only organizations, but also I'm talking about countries. True leadership is something that we need to never overlook. It is a necessary thing to work towards, and it starts with us. So you have the methodology of God. Lead yourself, put humanity first. That is, I told you that every section or anything we're going to talk about, it might take a long session alone, but I'm just being precise about everything I'm sharing now. The last thing you need to embrace and fix your mind about is that you don't know it all. You're not an expert. True leaders are humble. I mentioned that I came with the idea of writing the book, The 4 Laws of True Leaders. It's because I studied the true leaders. Who are they? We're talking about Mahatma Gandhi, we're talking about Socrates, we're talking about Martin Luther King, and we're talking about Muhammad Ali, we're talking about Bruce Lee. These people are true leaders. They understand the methodology of God. Mother Teresa also. They led themselves first. They had humanity on the top of their priority list, and they knew that they're not experts, so they don't know it all. So they were hungry for learning. When I thought about writing this book, I studied these type of leaders. So these are the 4 things that people need to work on if they want to prepare themselves or reveal the true leader within. Methodology of God, lead yourself, put humanity first, and you don't know it all.
That's a really great formula. Hopefully we can do it. Okay, I know
Yes.
it's very challenging.
Yes.
Okay.
You see, Socrates said that the secret to success is simplicity.
Yes.
So make it simple.
Okay, if I want to make it simple, if I want to start tomorrow, what can I do?
Do what I told you.
Give me one thing to do tomorrow. Okay, to start
All right.
my journey to be a true leader.
All right.
One thing I want to do tomorrow.
Study yourself.
What do you mean by study yourself? What do you mean by study?
Sorry?
What do you mean by study?
How can you study yourself? All right. How can you study yourself? It's about the self-realization. You need to start asking yourself questions. The first question you have to ask is, who am I? Only this question. And I bet you will not get the answer before 1 month. Not even 2 months. Not even 3 months. That's how it is simple, but it's hard. It's not easy. Otherwise, you will see so many people knowing who they are. Start with this question. Who am I? You want the second question? Do you want me to give you a formula from now to the end of the year? Ask yourself, who am I? What am I doing on this planet? And why I was born here? Where am I going? I bet you that you will not do it from here to, you'll take a long time because you see, when you answer these questions, you are building the anchors that will never break. Why do we need, I will go back to your question, why do we need true leaders now? Why now? Because we need people who can build their anchors on the floor So whenever we face any type of crisis, we don't care. It's going to come to pass. So start with these questions.
That's already a big list. Okay.
Yes.
But again, for me, if I want to discover who am I, okay, am I able to discover myself? Who am I? Or I need some help or support from people around me, from a coach, or reading, or what do you recommend?
This is a mandatory. This is a mandatory. You will never find a person who made it himself. You see, you cannot see yourself when you are in the frame. You need to have a coach, you need to have a mentor. But first, you need to understand who you are so you can connect with the right coach. Not any coach can come and connect with you because everyone has his own style of discovery. Like for me, for example, I talk about true leadership, and I talk about principles, and I talk about values, and I talk about standards, and I talk about being reborn. Because I'm a person who came back to life after an accident. So my message that I communicate to the world is how to reborn after every crisis, how to reborn after every challenge you go through, how to reborn after a problem, how to reborn after a turbulence. And the list goes on. You know, now I have the book, The Four Laws of True Leaders, and within a week or two, I'm going to have my second book published. It talks about the tips of how you can be reborn. And I'm preparing a third book that talks about the 5 pillars of inspiration. So I'm being serious about the message I'm communicating, and I don't care about impressing others. I'm expressing the message that God had given me. And I know what I'm doing. I'm looking to build true leaders. I'm looking to help people reveal their true leader within so they can communicate their message. And by doing so, I will be able to learn from these people that I'm training. I will be able to learn from them. When I work with people, I don't just coach them or train them. I'm preparing them to be a book that I can open and learn from. That's how I'm looking on it. Like, you know, it's a mindset. I see you, Hamad, as a book. I can learn from you, even though now you're just listening to what I'm saying, but I can learn from your expressions. I thank you so much for your questions because your questions are challenging my thoughts.
That's really great and very insightful. I mean that we really need a lot of people with a mission in this world to make this world a better world. Okay, especially in this hard time. In all my life, we have not seen such very hard and critical times. Okay, and as I said also in the beginning, at this hard and critical times, people stop from doing the normal thing that we are very busy doing on daily basis and start thinking and start getting some wisdom of what's going on, why this is going to us, how can we deal with this situation, trying to help others and so on. So I really thank you about your thoughts and insights that really we really need many people with a mission.
I agree with you.
Yes, to help in this very hard time. What I was talking about, it's about, yes, everyone for us need to understand himself or herself in the beginning, but definitely we really need help from outside. Okay, you cannot do this yourself.
It's mandatory.
Yes, even if you have some tools like discovering psychometric assessments or things like this, but again, you really need some guidance and help. And
yes.
Many people go into circles and circles, but they don't do good progress because of this So I highly believe in what you're saying. You need a coach or mentor, someone to guide you through the process, and someone who walked the journey before, so he can help you to move on and achieve results that you really want to achieve. And as you said, to know your message. Okay, what's your message? Okay, to the world, the whole world. What's your message? That's really very important.
Yes, and the most important investment that you can do is invest in your mind, invest in your growth, invest in yourself. It's not, it's not about the gold, it's not about the money, it's not about the real estate investment, it's about the gold which is here. This is the number one gold metal that you have. And investing in this, it's gonna give you freedom of owning yourself. And once you own yourself, you will achieve the most two important things that any human being is trying to achieve: success and happiness.
Yes, that's really very important. My last question in this very nice, insightful session is about the critical success factors. Okay, if I want to be successful or achieve what you are saying, okay, what are the factors around me or internally inside me that help me to be a true leader? What are the critical success factors? It's very challenging. And what I'm saying, because it's very challenging, because as I said, it's very nice to talk about it, very nice to know about it, but again, to implement it, what I need to really implement this, what are the critical success factors?
See, I'll tell you something. 2 or 3 years ago, I was watching an interview with Anthony Robbins. And Anthony Robbins have a unique way of delivering his message, let's say, or he have a different methodology of helping people to dig deep inside of them. He said something that stuck in my mind for all these years, and I found it to be true. And even when I listened to some other Arab mentors that I have met, they talk about controlling the inner world. So Anthony Robbins said there are two worlds for you to conquer: the inside and the outside. But in order for you to conquer both worlds, you have to conquer the inside first. What we are suffering from is people trying to conquer what is outside. And that's a total, because see, when you pursue the outside world, when you want to conquer anything outside of yourself, you are basically running after pleasure. But when you work hard to conquer the inside, you will have happiness. Happiness is, it's going to be there with you until the day you leave this earth. While pleasure, you can enjoy it for a few seconds, for a day, for a week, but there is an expiry for this feeling. So the number one factor is conquer the inside world. That's the only, I gave you the ultimate. You conquer the inside world, you will gain happiness as your ally. You will connect with humanity. Imagine, when you conquer your inside world, you will be able to connect with humanity. Now you'll tell me, how am I going to connect with humanity if I conquer my inside world? I'll tell you, it's a simple thing. You are going to discover the seed of character. You are going to discover the image of God that He blew in your spirit. once this thing touches you, you will be able to feel humanity. That's why when you watch TV and you see like what happened in my home country in Beirut, the explosion that happens, millions of people cried, millions of people felt it. Do you know why? Because it touched the human seed that has been covered for years that we don't know about. It touched it. It's connected to it. It has something to do with us. It reminded us who we are. That's why we felt what's going on. That's why we felt how others are feeling, how those who lost their families are feeling. That's why we felt them. Because it's something connected to our spirit. When you conquer the inside world, you will gain happiness as your ally, you will connect with humanity, you will enjoy and appreciate life, you will maintain your health, and you will live longer. So I gave you the ultimate one thing. Conquer your inside world. That's the only thing that you need to pursue in your life.
That's really great. And talking about Lebanon and Beirut, yes, as you said, all the people are highly affected, the feelings and the emotions of the people, and even from worldwide, as you said, it's not only from certain areas. I wouldn't have imagined that we will have all these people coming together, and even with their nice words, at least, okay? So it was really
Yes.
something great to show the real humanity and the true humanity, or regardless of any religion or any language or anything. So everyone comes together and united and have very nice or their emotional wishes for Beirut. So hopefully, inshallah, may Allah protect Lebanon and all our countries, inshallah, and help us get out of this crisis, inshallah. So I'd like to thank you so much, dear Hossam, for this insightful,
thank you so much.
Very deep session. And I'm looking for any questions. If anyone has any questions, you're more than welcome to tell us your questions. But again, as I said, in this very busy world, we were very busy doing our normal tasks, in our normal day life. Many blessings we were not really feeling because it was something else we used to do it. But when things are different, you really appreciate what you have really still missing or lost. So again, thank you so much, dear Hossam, for this nice session. And I wish you all the best, inshallah, in your first book and second, third book. And we really need many people like yourself who has a mission to help people and create true leaders. And hopefully, inshallah, this will help us make our world a better world.
Inshallah. That's what we aspire to do.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Muhammad. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.